Hello, everyone. We're going to be talking today with one of our outside sales reps, Matthew Walker, and he actually recently did some work on the famous Woolworth Building in New York City. Now, Matt, from my understanding, you were actually on site. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Cody. We
So,
were
what were
on
you
site.
guys? Sorry to interrupt. What were you guys doing on site for them?
Well, as many of you guys know, New York City is got some buildings that are fairly old, and we had a number of customers on the building doing work inside and on the exterior of the building. They're changing the building from residential and upgrading it to higher end condominiums ranging from $1 million to $2 million per apartment. And the substrate in the ceiling was very brittle. People know it as cinder or terracotta block. And the engineers were very sketchy about how much they could be hanging off of it, if they could hang at all. So we had a number of customers reach out to us with a request, hey, do you have a solution so we can hang off of this substrate and we don't have to chip away and go to the steel beams or do some structural kind of method of hanging? We went in because Allfasteners has a patented anchor called the umbrella anchor, and it's an epoxy anchor specifically for terracotta block. And so myself and one of my coworkers actually went on site, did the anchor testing, and then sent that off to the engineers for sign off and get them approved. We got excellent values, pull values per anchor, which saved the contractors a lot of money and a lot of time from doing something structural to the actual beams.
So, Matt, in your own words, can you describe to me a little bit how you guys were able to actually solve the customer's problem with that building?
Well, it's a good question, Cody. The customer called us because they needed a solution on hanging their products and their material. A lot of times, engineers do suggestions on their drawings on anchoring methods. But there's a few different variables as far as cost. Is it the correct anchor to use? So the customer calling me, with my experience, I went out to the job site and actually evaluated the substrate and suggested an anchor, and then did the pull testing to back up what I suggested, which I guess you could say, for lack of a better words, we kind of partnered with the customer to submit an anchor to the engineer with the support of the suggestion, and it gave the engineer the comfort to sign off on it as an equivalent or an equal to the anchor that the engineer had suggested. And when we got it approved, looking back on it, we saved the customer a lot of time and money, like I had said before.
Yeah, so it's almost like it makes you feel better going in knowing that there might be some sort of restriction that, you were able to suggest something, and ultimately that it actually helped out the customer, whether or not it could have helped you or helped, a company or whatnot.
Exactly. And a lot of times engineers, they have the knowledge of, shall we say, calculations and so forth, but they may not have as much on-site knowledge that us reps, when we come onto the job site, we're seeing it every day. This is, I guess it puts food on my table. So I take it as this is for real. This is what I do for work. It's not just something I do on the side. So when we come out, we're in the best interest of the customer, but also in the best interest of everybody on the job site and the support of the engineer, because at the end of the day, we all want it to pass and we all want it to work.
That's good. So it's really nice to hear that there's like a win-win scenario really for everyone, and not just like win-lose or one person wins, stuff like that. Now, is the customer really the only people you guys were able to work with on that site, or were there like other trades involved?
Well, there's a number of trades. I guess on that job site, it's everybody needs to hang product from the ceiling, whether it be the electrician, you have the fire protection, you have the plumber, you have the HVAC or ductwork guy. They're all trying to hang product from the ceiling. But I guess at the head of it all, you have the engineer or structural engineer that comes down to the general contractor that's running the whole site, that comes down to the actual subcontractors that are really performing the work. So it's a bit of a triangle effect, but you're really, and at the end result, you're satisfying the structural engineer who at the top is working for the building owner.
So Matt, I know you live in the New York, New Jersey area. The Woolworth Building is a historic building in the area. It means a lot to a lot of people. That had to be cool for you to be working on, right?
Absolutely, Cody. It's kind of interesting you asked, because I was speaking with my grandfather, who's about 96 or 97 years old, and discussing with him that I was on the Woolworth Building, and he just chuckled and he said, I remember when the Woolworth Building was built. So it's kind of interesting that, yeah, it's an old building, and I guess as being a contractor or being someone in work, we like to know that our work is, hey, I worked on that building. It's an iconic building in New York, and we can drive past with our grandkids or our kids and say, hey, I worked on that building. Do you know how old that building is? It's a very iconic building. And we all want our work to be done right, and our work to be done correctly, and people recognize it. So when I came out to the job site, we didn't actually even have to regenerate or rebuild that actual building. We came up with a solution and provided an anchoring system that they were able to use the existing building and substrate.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt, so much for joining us. It was really cool to sit down and talk to you today. I know it's a little strange. We're on Zoom meetings, but I really appreciate you taking your time. It was really cool to hear about, especially your grandfather, and the way that he had seen really the progression of the entire building, and it's going to continue to go on through your guys' family, which is really cool. So thank you again, Matt. I really hope that we can sit down soon, talk some more, and I'm really appreciative, so thank you.
Cody, my pleasure. It was good catching up with you guys, and hope that it helps.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a great day.